Hello everyone, Screenplay Archaeology host KiramidHead here. Before we get into today's episode, I just want to get some intro stuff out of the way. First things first, we are now part of the Fandom Limb Media podcast network, so I'm going to link their site down below. And that's why you would have just heard a promo for another podcast, because they're another one of the shows on the network. And as per usual, if you like the show and you'd like to know more, you can check out our social media pages on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, and even Instagram now. The show also has a Patreon if you're willing to gift money, but you don't really need to if you don't want to. And we also have a Discord server, which you can join if you want to chat with, the group members there. So that link is going to be down below as well. So yeah, sit back, guys, and enjoy the show. Hello and welcome everybody to a new episode of the Screenplay Archaeology podcast. I'm your host KiramidHead.
And I am Xander of Emerald Quill Studios.
And today we are going to be covering an early draft of the 2010 Wolfman remake, and I figured, Xander was on here for Creature from the Black Lagoon a few months ago, and he's a big Wolfman guy, so I figured he would be perfect for this.
And I just want to say thanks for having me back. It's I've been hoping to come back on the show, so thank you. I'm excited.
Hey, you're welcome. If you have an idea, something you want to do that's not Universal Monsters, give me a shout.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. I just want to say, for anyone who's familiar with me from the Universal Monsters podcast listening, you'll know my favorite film was the 1941 Wolfman movie. And you're probably going to be scared that I'm just going to constantly talk about that film. Don't worry, none of my criticisms of this script or story will have to do with how different it is from the 1941. I am looking at this objectively.
Yes, we're going to be looking at, obviously there's comparisons to be made because they take certain elements, swap them in, swap them out, change them around, but that's going to be interesting to talk about anyways.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so, I guess, do we get started now, Bruce?
Yes, so what we're going to be looking at is a script by Andrew Kevin Walker, which is the first script that was written for this in 2006. And it follows basically the same plot structure. Well, not the structure, but it's the same basic beats of the movie are hit here. It's the Victorian England setting. Lawrence Talbot returns home to Blackmore Village, and his brother has disappeared, and it turns out, there's a Wolfman involved, as we all know. If you've seen the movie, you know where it's going. We're going to table too much detailed discussion until we really get into it.
Quickly talk about Andrew. I did not realize he wrote Seven. That's pretty fucking awesome.
Yes, Seven was his breakout. He did uncredited rewrites on a few things. He did 8mm, Sleepy Hollow, and then nothing until this.
I mean, hey, I guess when you're writing off Seven.
And he had some unproduced stuff in there. He did a version of X-Men in the 90s, which didn't happen. He did his draft of Batman vs. Superman has never gotten out, but there's a rewrite of it that I covered years ago now.
When did production start on the Wolfman? Just really quick, I forgot.
It would have started in 2008, I think.
2008, okay.
Yeah, because development started in 2006, and actual production would have been 2008 because there's this whole thing where the original director left, and then they they had 3 weeks until production was supposed to start, and then it went back into production in 2009 because they decided they needed to reshoot stuff. But now I remember this being announced, hearing about it, and then it just kept missing release dates for 3 straight years.
I was 12 when this movie came out, so I literally, my first experience learning about this was probably a trailer in the theater, and I just remember thinking, because at the time Twilight was big, And I just remember thinking, oh God, I hope they don't make the Wolfman just a full-on wolf. Because that kind of was a trend at the time, just making werewolves kind of full-on wolf transformation. So I was so scared that was going to be the case.
Yeah, like it was like it was going to be like an Underworld or a Van Helsing.
Exactly, yeah. I was worried about that, but they didn't do that. I was like, oh, thank God.
But no, what was wild about this is that there were pictures of the Wolfman makeup online years before the movie came out, because they officially released screenshots of it, like pictures of it.
Oh, really?
Publicity photos. And then the movie just kept missing release dates. So yeah, they didn't try and hide this at all.
Well, like I said, I was 12 at the time, so my access to resources were limited. My mom was very much a protect me from the internet mother.
I was 17 and not hugely online. I would just look up some movie stuff, and that was it. And I remember there was like photos from the set. Like there's a still photo of the funeral scene, and I'm like, oh, and like the movie just didn't come out for the longest time because of all the troubles they were having. Because basically they had the Andrew Kevin, and it basically is a movie that like it happened because Benicio del Toro made it happen.
Yeah.
And there had been like one other discussion of like a Wolfman movie before then, where it's like an offhand reference I found in an article where they were talking about doing TV movies in the early 90s, and of course none of that happened. There was like Martin Scorsese wanting to do Bride of Frankenstein, and there was also like an offhand reference to the Wolfman, and that was it. So really, this is just one movie they made. There was not like a million different versions of it in development.
Yeah.
Which is interesting compared to all the different versions of Creature and Mummy and Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy just to like realize that really it's just because. So after this original script, is it just the rewritten script that we see like shot, or was there maybe another draft but after this, or?
There were, I don't know if Andrew Kevin Walker did any other drafts, but I found an interview with David Self, who's the other credited writer, where he came on late in 2007, and he said that there was a partial rewrite by Paul Addonazio, who got about halfway through it and never finished. And then Mark Romanek, who was supposed to be directing at the time, he did his own rewrite that was also unfinished.
Okay.
So Self came in and he said that he did a rewrite, that he got it done just in time for the 2007 writer's strike to start. And that apparently was the draft they cast most of the people based on.
Okay, interesting. All right, yeah. Yeah, it's funny for a script that doesn't seem to have many changes. There's 3 different, wildly different versions of this movie, from the script to the theatrical and then the director's cut.
Yep, and so I guess this is where we just jump into it. Now,
Yeah.
The title is The Wolf-Man in this version.
Yeah, they like to change it up.
And apparently, according to David Self, making it all one word was like a marketing decision.
Interesting. All right, well.
Yeah, that was one of the interesting things he said in that interview. But okay, so this one starts, and it's undated, but it would have been written in 2006, because there was actually a script review online in August 2006 that I remember reading that only talks about like the first like 20 pages or so of this thing.
Oh, that's cool.
And I remember reading that and thinking, no, that's kind of interesting, and then none of that was in the movie. And so we have, it opens on a 10-year-old Lawrence Talbot, and it just says Victorian period in the slug line.
Yeah, so... Oh, sorry, you go on, Bruce.
Yeah, but it said that, he awakens in his room in Talbot Hall, which is called several different things depending on which line of description you're reading. It's either Hall or Talbot House or Talbot Mansion. But it's it's in the middle of a thunderstorm. So this is a scene that in the movie happens. It happens like a little ways into it. It's like he like walks into his old bedroom and just flashes back.
Yeah. In the movie they changed it where because in the script it all takes place in the house, and when he walks down the hall it shows the animal head. It shows a bunch of animal head trophies, and they changed it to him walking outside, walking past hedge art where it's the animals instead.
Yeah, there's like one trophy he walks past and then it like fades to him being outside.
Yeah, which I don't know why they changed it. It makes less sense in the movie. It makes sense in this that, like, how he finds his mother. Because I to this day, I still don't understand why they were just out there in the middle of the night.
Yeah, and also, I don't think you ever see those hedge animals again outside of that scene.
No, you don't even see that that weird, like, lake pool that they have.
Yeah, like the reflecting pool they have.
Yeah, they just have, like, a reflecting pool. And it always confused me because, like, Ben kind of goes all like, I heard something, Lawrence, I heard something. And then all of a sudden we're all the way out in the lake. And there,
yeah,
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, another difference that this version of the scene has no dialogue. And in the movie you get that, child acting.
Yeah.
But so, he walks out into the hallway past the heads of animals taking his trophies, which is a important sort of thematic image that comes back later on. He thinks he hears, the anguished cry of a man under the thunder. He makes his way to the master bedroom where dark liquid is seeping out from under the door, and inside he finds his father, Sir John Talbot, cradling his wife who has slit her wrists. And then as his older brother Benjamin enters the room with a lantern, it cuts to outside and goes above the clouds, revealing a full moon. So yeah, the choice to open on this scene is interesting because I think it really grabs you.
Yeah, I think this is a much stronger opening given the rest of the film, and I personally even think with what they had in the final film, I think this still would have been a stronger opening in my opinion.
Yeah, because the opening of the movie, it's a little bit longer in the director's cut, is just apparently Benjamin wandered out into the woods to find the Wolfman armed with nothing but a lantern.
Yeah.
And he gets jump scared by some doves.
He was gonna give he said, I know you out there, so he was just gonna give him a stern talking to, really set him straight.
And I feel like this was maybe changed because Universal was like, do we really want to open with a suicide scene?
Yes. Take a chance. Coward.
Yeah, take a chance. And so this match cuts to I like, you're not supposed to do this in screenwriting, but screenwriters do it all the time anyway.
Yeah.
So rules don't matter. So it cuts to a full moon on a painted backdrop in a London theater in 1888, which is 3 years earlier than what the movie is, and there's a reason for that. We'll get to it. It's kind of a dumb reason.
Yeah.
But we have a Lawrence who's now mid-30s playing Hamlet on stage. This is in the movie. And what's interesting is that in the movie, in both the script and the movie, he's doing the to be or not to be speech, but in the movie, he's holding the skull, which is a different scene in Hamlet.
Oh, is it? I've never actually read Hamlet, so...
Yes, I've seen a couple versions of it, and the to be or not to be and the last poor Yorick are two completely different scenes, so I don't think Joe Johnston has seen Hamlet.
It was probably mostly done where it was like, okay, we need to do the right stuff, but let's also just have both imagery. And someone was like, and they're like, nah, I don't give a fuck, do it.
And it's especially weird in the theatrical cut where you get one shot of him standing on stage.
I know, right? Speed it up.
So we basically get a scene here that is fully in the director's cut. Mostly, it's a little bit different, but it's basically this scene. After the performance, he gets approached backstage by Gwen Conliffe, who is Benjamin's fiancée, who tells him that his brother has gone missing, and, propriety forbids her from giving him more details because it involves a certain woman, she says. And
right.
So she asks him to come to Talbot Hall and Blackmore Village. He's like, hey, the acting troupe, we're returning to New York soon, but I have reasons of my own, I can't go back there. And also, he's got a Cockney hooker groupie.
Yeah,
she's in the movie, but the script kind of focuses on her a little more. It feels like.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I like the way they do this in the script compared to in the movie, because in the movie, it doesn't really focus on the brothership of it. Because I think I'm trying to like remember in the script, I'm like looking at it right now, but they kind of like talk more about the letters and stuff and like how they were back and forth. But in the movie, it's just kind of like, you should come back to Talbot Hall. But that's kind of like her last line to get him to go. But in this, I really love the line that they have Gwen say, which is, I know you've been away for nearly a lifetime, still he is your blood, your only brother. I like that. That hits stronger.
And also, I'll say this: Benjamin technically has less screen time in the script than he does in the movie, but he feels like a way more substantial character.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's probably the strongest thing about this script is that the character dynamic and the relationships feel much more stronger.
And also, so that night he's in bed with the Cockney groupie, and he has a dream I love the dream sequences in this script way more than the ones in the movie.
I like them more than the ones in the movie. Still not a fan of the dream fake out sequence. I think this might just be me personally thinking they've been overdone at this point, but I'm kind of like,
oh, definitely. But I like the dream he has where he's on the moors in his costume, and he approaches there's like someone facing away from him in a stone circle, and then he turns and he has a face of just unbroken skin over his skull.
Yeah, that part's good.
That part's good. Then he does the fake out dream where the woman also has the woman in bed with him also has that face. Then he wakes up for real.
Yeah,
that has been done really well once in John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness.
I thought it was pretty good in Doctor Sleep, but that's about.
Oh
really...
yeah, that's great too. But the one I always think of is Prince of Darkness because that one has like a million YTMND memes, which are hilarious. But no, that's one of the few dream sequence fake outs. It's really good. This one is just like, depending on how it's directed.
Yeah, feel the right way it would have been directed. But if Joe Johnston just also directed this script, then it still would have sucked.
And Joe Johnston's guy where I actually like quite a few of his movies, but like I don't know if he was the right guy for Wolfman.
Yeah, I mean I know we're supposed to be focusing on the script, but I will say I'm mixed on Joe. He does a good job because he also directed Jurassic Park 3, and I love Jurassic Park 3. So in terms of action, man knows how to direct an action scene. But I do think other scenes are kind of like.
And of course, he directed Jumanji.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But so we don't get a train sequence here. We said we get the leader of the acting troupe who's kind of fatherly towards him gets on the train, and leaves. And then Lawrence gets in a carriage, so there's no Max von Sydow scene. There's no Wolf's Head cane in this at all.
And this is gonna come as a shock to some people, but I like that there's no Wolf Head cane. It feels so tacked on in the director's cut. It is so
weird in the movie because it doesn't pay off. He gets it, and then they just carry it around, and like a couple characters hold it.
They bring so much attention to it. He's given it. Because the guy is like, you take it. For some reason, this guy is like, take it. I'm old. I just met you. It'd be nice to know to a good cause. What good cause that is, I don't know. Lawrence refuses it, and he goes, well, you're going to take it anyway, because he just leaves it.
And also, there's a weird reference to the Beast of Gévaudan in that scene.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't mean anything in the movie.
Yeah, and then you only see it two other times. You see it once when Lawrence decides to grab a gun before his first transformation night, and then Sir John has it at the end of the night, at the end of the film, and he's beating up Lawrence with it, and that's it. And
then Aberline picks it up and does nothing with it.
That's right. Aberline picks up the sword version of it, and yeah, that's it. And
Lawrence is carrying it in multiple scenes in the movie. It's just there. It's especially jarring in the theatrical cut where you're like, wait a minute, where'd he get that?
That's one change in the theatrical that was good, because it's so weird to bring attention to it in the director's cut that it's so unneeded of a scene that I'm like, okay, I get why they cut it out. It's just he happens to have that cane. It's just, he's a rich guy. Of course he'd have a cane.
It's just weird that it really does feel like somebody looked at it and went, we want some of that iconography from the original in here, and then they just kind of went, okay, done.
If I remember, because I didn't end up finishing the theatrical cut, but I'm pretty sure at the end of the film, he still does the trick where he pulls out the knife and attacks.
He does.
That's the only thing that in the theatrical cut, it's fucking weird that they kept that, because you only know that with the introduction scene of the cane.
and then weirdly, they used the same cane design in Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Yeah, I still don't know what's going on with that.
Who knew Dracula liked canes?
My man has drip.
Yeah, and so he travels home by carriage. He passes a Romani camp as he nears the outskirts, because And so this is where we get Maleva's introduction. She emerges from her tent and watches him as he passes, almost like she's sensing what's to come.
Well, no, Bruce. We don't get Maleva. We get old Maleva. The script mentions it's old Maleva. It's just
her full name is first name Old, last name Maleva. It's like young MC.
As someone who's written many scripts, I don't understand why you decided. I have a lot to type out, but you know what? I really, really want to make it more for myself by always writing old Maleva.
And so Lawrence, he arrives at Talbot Hall, has a chilly reunion with his father, who, instead of just referring to him as the prodigal son, he quotes quite a bit from the parable, which in the movie they move to the confrontation at the end.
Yeah. I actually think it makes more sense. I don't know. It makes sense in either one. I like it here because it kind of sets up. I think putting it in the beginning makes more sense for like the setup between their issues with each other and everything like that. Like you're pretty much just like writing on like, okay, this is kind of how John sees Lawrence, and this is sort of it makes sense more here, but it still works in the.
Yeah, and also one thing I noticed is that in the script there's a lot more tension between them, as there should be.
Yeah.
Because because Lawrence says to Gwen earlier, I don't think my presence is going to make a difference. Then Sir John says the same thing to him. And it's so weird in the movie how you feel like there should be more tension there, and they're like buds for like so much of the movie.
Yeah.
They're just chilling.
I'm going to say it. They don't even feel like buds. They just feel like they kind of exist with each other in that. Like there's like nothing between them, and I hate that so much.
But they're like so chill. There's just like that casual scene where Lawrence is laying on the couch and Sir John is blowing candles out.
Yeah, and then they kind of like walk up and he goes like, I wish things were different. And he's like, don't dwell on the past. All right, anyways, I'm glad you're back.
And then they find a scene where they pontificate about the moon and shoehorn in a telescope.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't need a telescope to look at that moon. The moon in this movie is huge in every scene.
But yeah, there's a lot of tension to them. I love this one line where after he says after John quotes everything, Lawrence goes, well, don't go to any trouble on my account.
And so Sir John has his butler Kendall summon Gwen. So there is no sing in this movie, which is...
I don't know who decided that, but they should have kept Kendall. That makes so much more sense. It's so much better. But instead, someone in the creative decision said, you know what 2010 Wolfman needs? Borderline racism.
Yeah, and we'll talk about his character later, because he's actually kind of interesting for a bit, and then he just is gone.
Yeah, I mean, he's a little interesting, but Kendall makes so much more sense here, given everything. I don't know why they changed it to sing in the film.
It's because the servant gets traits from another character, and we'll talk about that when we get there.
See, yeah, and then there's issues that I have with that. But anyways, yeah. So Kendall is kind of brought up.
And so, he's explaining, and so they're in like the drawing room, and then they immediately he starts explaining what's going on, and he goes, okay, we gotta get on horseback and go. And Lawrence is like, what?
I fucking love that. I love this whole like, okay, we're just gonna like jump into it. Everyone gets on horses. We're explaining things as they're riding. I think that's fucking sick.
Yeah, and so he talks about how like the men of Blackmore, the Romani, they've started showing up, and they've been known to visit them. And, like, they go there for drink and gambling, and sometimes more with the dark-eyed women, as he puts it. And one of them who's named Carmilla, which is an interesting name to throw into a werewolf story.
Yeah, I couldn't help but keep thinking of Castlevania with that name.
Yeah. And, oh God. No, Lawrence has a little more backbone than that. And but so basically, one of them she became pregnant while her husband Victor was in jail, and so he came back, beat the crap out of her, dragged her before the local magistrate Squire Strickland, demanding justice. And so this is all kind of explained over a couple of different scenes. I'm condensing it for the sake of the notes. But Benjamin had been seen arguing with her and visited her in the prison, and he's widely suspected of being the father.
Yeah.
And so Strickland because Strickland is basically trying to force his kind of puritanical views on on the local populace, even though they say that, like, adultery isn't a crime. I'm pretty sure it would have been in Victorian England.
Yeah, that was kind of like back. Yeah, it's so weird because like everyone acts like adultery's a crime, and then Sir John just kind of says, "Hey, adultery's not really a crime, guys."
And so basically he basically wants to just shame the populace over what they've been doing, so he holds her in jail until she either names the father or he comes forward himself. And then while she was in jail during the full moon, a shepherd was torn apart on the moors. And the very next day, Benjamin disappeared, along with some of his clothes and personal effects, as if he had fled.
Yeah.
And the villagers either think it's a curse or they think someone is trying to make them think there's a curse. And now a meeting has been called in the town square for that evening, and the three of them are going there to speak in Benjamin's defense.
I love this meeting in the town square. And the script does this more better, but just to start it off, I love that the town has more of a character and presence in the script. That's something that I think is really a weakness of the 2010 film that the script gets right in this, is that I feel more connected to all these town characters, like Dr. Lloyd, Colonel Montfort, like all of them, and just even just the background. Like I feel more of a presence from the town versus in the film, which I like a lot more. This does that well.
Yeah, because in the movie, their only characterization they get is you get that one scene in the pub.
Yeah,
which is barely in the theatrical cut.
You get the scene in the pub, and then you get the scene... Oh, yeah, that's right. They cut it down so much, which makes sense, but yeah. But you get the scene in the pub, and then you just get the scene where they try to capture Lawrence, and that's it. And in both scenes, you just end up hating the town. So there's just, like, no connection to them at all. Versus in this, you get more of, like, an idea of what everyone's like, and you even come to... I came to kind of like them, but we'll circle back to that later.
Yeah, they get space to actually... Except for Strickland, fuck him. But,
yeah.
like, everybody gets, like, a little bit of characterization.
100%, yeah. And like I said, I don't want to bring up the 1941 film too much, but the town had more of a presence in that film, too. Admittedly, that was kind of a weakness of that film. Like, it's not as much, but you get more of that town feeling in there. You get more characters and I feel like the script kind of gets that idea from the original movie, where it's like...
Yeah, well, in the original movie, the characters are at least distinct.
Yeah,
like
everyone...
you have a distinct you have an ensemble that's pretty good.
Exactly, yeah. You feel for the town. You understand what's going on and such.
So, yeah, Strickland has Carmilla brought out in shackles, once again trying to force the situation. This is where we find out that after that guy was killed, there was a note nailed to the jailhouse door saying that Moore would die if she wasn't released. And so this is where you get, like, really great stuff from Sir John, challenging him, saying, you know, he's only doing this to just enforce his will on the town, and, you know, he's abusing his power as a magistrate by holding her because he really doesn't have a reason to.
Yeah.
And he says, the only one who speaks up is in support of him is Lawrence, because everyone else basically is being... It's because Strickland is the most prominent landowner in the area, and people owe him debts and stuff, so nobody wants to go against him. Everyone's afraid.
Yeah, I like that Lawrence just kind of jumps in. I think the dialogue is a little shaky in terms of everything, because I feel like I still don't get why Lawrence, like, kind of just, like, goes for this, but I take that back, because when we learn later in the script, I kind of get why he just kind of jumps into immediately defending everything. But I like it. I think
it's because he does care about his brother. Like, he's got this tension with his father, but he never had an issue with Benjamin.
Yeah.
But so, as this is all going on, Carmilla finally breaks down and names Benjamin as the father, and Victor has to be held back from attacking her by Bela, who is their chief. Yeah,
Bela's here. I thought he'd have more of a presence because they named him, but he's mostly just kind of here.
He's, and he doesn't have any lines, and they actually point that out in the dialogue.
Yeah, they say, like, Bela is very quiet or something like that.
It's like, you don't say much, do you?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, oh, you could get Bela Jr. to come in and play him. He's not an actor, but he doesn't have any lines. And, you know, a distraught Gwen, she runs off into the crowd.
Right, yeah.
And so that night in the pub, The village elders, we have Strickland, Colonel Montfort, Dr. Lloyd, and Pastor Fisk, along with Sir John. They discuss what to do, saying the moon will be full again the next night, and Strickland says, oh, if no one was killed, we'll release her. And there's also a discussion from the barkeeper. Some believe that Benjamin has been cursed, living like an animal in the wild, and Fisk is like, well, this can happen. There are demons that walk like men, and men who walk like demons. And so it's just atmosphere building, really.
Yeah.
And so Lawrence finds Gwen. She's at an unfinished house on the edge of the Talbot estate, where her and Benjamin were supposed to live together. And he realizes that there's something she isn't saying to him, but they're interrupted by Maleva, old Maleva,
who
confirms she's the fortune teller, and Bela, who doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
But she warns Lawrence to leave Blackmore, as the path he is on will lead to his doom. But she also promises to contact the spirits to ask about his brother.
I think this is a cool way to show Maleva. Yeah. I think that's much cooler scene than what we get, because in the film we just kind of like see them by the waterfall and everything and this and that, but I like this. It makes more sense about the house and everything, Gwen wanting to stay as far away from the property as possible, and kind of like them talking about Benjamin and stuff like this. And then I love Maleva just kind of being all mystic and sly and everything like that. I think it's a lot cooler.
Yes, it also develops this relationship a lot better than the movie does.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because their best scene in the movie is the stone skipping scene, and I'm pretty sure that was a reshoot.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a reshoot, because it just kind of is there.
Because it goes from him going, I can hear the horses coming and panicking, and then it cuts him very casually walking up to the angry mob.
Yeah. But in this, oh, sorry, hold on, let me mute my...
No, it's something's making you angry again.
I have a point to make now. Yeah, no, because in this really like kind of brings up everything that's going on, and you kind of get more of a relationship of everything, and this feels less like they're trying to make Gwen and Lawrence a thing, and just like more of a natural friendship, sort of, that eventually turns into the love interest kind of thing.
Yes, because in the movie they barely share screen time together in the first half.
100%. Yeah, it's so weird.
All right, and so the next day, Constable Nye shows up at Talbot Hall with news of disaster, and they arrive in the village to see Carmilla's body being taken away by her tribe, as she had poisoned herself in the night. And Sir John just attacks Strickland, saying he might as well have killed her himself, and that his son can never clear his name. It's a good scene, dark scene. And he then gets very drunk after returning home and argues with Lawrence, I think he talks about, like, this is where they talk about, like, oh, you pretend to be other people, but who are you really? And he says, like, I wish you had disappeared instead.
Yeah, it really lays it out, which I like. I love this whole back and forth. I think this is, I love when John is all like, defend yourself, like, even right now you can't even stand up to me and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I really like that. I love that we get to see a character arc of Lawrence kind of eventually overcoming and finally standing, or we get that. It's set up here, and then we'll see it at the end of the script. But I love this like back and forth and stuff.
Like every scene Sir John gets, I'm like, I wish Hopkins got to play this.
Yeah, I see here's the thing, because I don't know. I feel like Hopkins was miscast. I mean, if they had, I don't know. I'm assuming, what was casting already? I don't know. Is it known if they had already casted before the script was written, or like finished or anything, or was it after?
Benicio was always attached. They cast after rewrites.
Okay, all right. I don't know. I feel like Hopkins was the wrong choice for this, because it almost feels like they changed John's character to better match Hopkins in the final film. I think someone else could have done a better job with Sir John, in my opinion.
But it would have been interesting to see him play something a little more complex.
I will agree that. Regardless, script Sir John is so much better than film Sir John.
Yes.
Film Sir John is so empty.
The Hopkins we get in the movie is like Hannibal Lecter's sequel Hopkins, where he's just fucking around.
Yeah, 100%, and it's so...
It's very funny.
Yeah. There's only one scene that I feel original script John kind of bleeds out into the film, and it's when the inspector comes around and he's like, I just need a few moments, and John just keeps going, no, 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 no. And I kind of like that, but that's the only time that it really shows.
Okay, so at dusk, the villagers, they lock their doors in anticipation of another killing, and Sir John joins Montfort and Lloyd in a hunting party and tells Lawrence to stay in and hands him a pistol to keep with him at all times.
Right.
And Lawrence, he finds Gwen looking at his mother's portrait, and she asks him about her as Sir John and Benjamin wouldn't even bring the subject up. And so he tells her about the night he found her dead, says he never knew why that happened, and he spent several months in a London insane asylum recovering from the trauma, and then stayed at home for 5 more years before running away to America. So that's where we get it's much better than them just going like, oh, here we are by a waterfall. Let's get this exposition out.
And that before reading this script, that was the most fucking confusing thing as a kid, as an adult watching the film. I was like, what happened exactly? But in this, everything makes sense. Like they make it all very clear. There's no like more question about like what the fuck is kind of going on and everything. I know like even in the film they sort of explain it, but it makes more sense in this.
And so we get the werewolf who's moving really fast, only fleetingly seen through the forest towards the encampment, the Romani encampment. Gwen confides in Lawrence that Benjamin had been acting strangely since Carmilla was imprisoned and sent her away to London during the full moon, saying he would contact her, but he never did.
Right.
And so later, past midnight, the werewolf once again, he's either only shown fleetingly or in point-of-view shots, approaches the camp, killing one of them just after she draws the death card from a tarot deck. Which
I find funny because I might be wrong about this, but if I recall, the death card does not actually mean death in tarot readings.
No, that's an overly literal.
Yeah. It's still a fun way to start off the kills where it's just like, uh-oh, we're gonna die. Oh, yeah. Dies.
And it's described as like he reaches through the tent and rips him out.
Yeah. Which it seems like they changed that to the one guy who hides in the tent and gets ripped out, so...
And accidentally shoots somebody.
Yeah. It was so tough.
And so then Victor arrives on the scene with a rifle, only to trip over the body and get torn apart by the werewolf.
Right.
And then Constable Nye is back, and he's patrolling the moors. He hears the howl of the werewolf, and he rides like mad back to the village, pursued by the beast, who tackles him through the window of the apothecary shop, where presumably Frankenstein is also killing the apothecary.
And then Frankenstein and the Wolfman meet. No, just kidding.
I first heard the term apothecary in Son of Frankenstein, so I always think of that scene where he just hits the guy in silhouette.
Oh yeah, the bashing on the head one. Yeah, I love that. I like this kill. I think this is a really cool kill, and I wish we got to have seen something of it in the actual film, because this is pretty sick.
Yeah, this is pretty cool, because like he crashes him through the window and then starts tearing him apart. As the film fades to black, and we only hear the sounds of his death, and it does that a couple times. It's always effective.
Yeah, it definitely does work.
And the next morning, the Romani tribe is packed up and left, while Montfort and Lloyd, they examine the scene of Nye's death, which Fisk calls the devil's work.
Right.
And so then Lawrence and Gwen, they soon meet again at the unfinished house, and this is where he promises to stay there in Blackmore until Benjamin returns.
Right, yeah. I love that we don't, because they changed in the film, they just sped it up. We already know that Ben is dead. I like that we don't know that Ben is dead yet.
Because it gives you a pretty effective red herring.
It does, and then it also is a stronger reason for Lawrence to stay.
Yes.
In the film, it's just, I'm not leaving until I find out what happened, which is kind of like, it's very weak. But in this, it makes more sense. He's like, no, I'm not leaving until I find Ben. It makes more sense because he feels his regret for just abandoning Ben, which they bring up in this. They don't bring it up in the movie, that his guilt over abandoning Ben and stuff is much more strongly brought up in this, and I like that.
Because it seems like Ben was, in the movie version, Ben was just fine until he went, I'm going to walk out into the woods armed with nothing but my bare hands.
Yeah, and this is a little inconsequential because we're talking about the story itself, but I gotta say, they did Ben Gurney in the movie. The actor they cast, you got good-looking Benicio del Toro, good-looking Anthony Hoskins, and then the most mid-regular guy ever playing Ben. I'm just like, all right, guys. The genes aren't adding. Yeah, I'm like, how did you pull Gwen, dude?
No wonder she moved on fast.
Right?
But okay, and so we get the fades out, fades back in, and it gives the text on screen, which just made me laugh reading
28 days later. I was like, wow, okay.
And this is when that movie was fresh.
I made fun of that when I first read it, but then after the script kind of explains how the werewolf curse works, I was like, oh, that's why it's specifically 28 days later.
Yeah.
This makes sense. I love the cutting to 28 days later. I love showing Lawrence and John training the village to protect themselves.
Yeah.
I know I just keep basically saying the same thing, but this one scene of Lawrence being like, okay, this is how we shoot, everyone, this is how to shoot, and then Sir John just goes headshot on this, or huge explosion shot on the scarecrow, and he goes, the heart was in there somewhere, guys.
He shoots it with his big ass elephant gun.
Yeah. and they both have this like laugh, and it's just like this is so much good. There's a father and son dynamic. It really shows that right there. But
I know, I think it's cool that they basically are training the villagers in how to deal with this situation, and they have like everybody's working together. Like even Sir John and Strickland seem to be getting along okay-ish.
Yeah.
And they have a map laid out. They're like, we've searched the entire area. There's no strangers here.
Yeah,
and also in the 28 days, the community has started falling apart. Like, people are constantly fighting each other. They're leaving.
Yeah.
And they're like, if we don't do something, we're going to be dead. And they also mention that London has promised to send help, but no one has come. So there's no Aberline in this script.
Yeah, and it's not straight out said here, but because in the original 1941 movie, it kind of is implied that like the Talbots are sort of responsible. They have some sort of responsibility over the town of Llanwelly, and they never really kind of go into that. And I like that this script sort of implies that the Talbots are kind of like responsible for protecting Llanwelly, or like kind of giving some sort of protection or something over it. Yeah. And so I like that John and Lawrence take over that role, and it's never outright said, but they take over the role of like, okay, we got to protect the town, we have to protect the people, and we have to protect its population and stuff, because like you said, that it mentions how people are leaving and such.
Yeah, that's kind of the traditional responsibilities of a lord.
Yeah.
And so we get Fitzgerald the blacksmith, who's been in a few scenes before then, but he brings these 2 huge sacks full of silver bullets.
Oh, yeah.
I wondered about in this, I wonder about in the movie, too. This tiny place in the middle of nowhere sure has a lot of silver.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'm sure John was just like, I got a couple pounds of silver just lying in my in my basement.
Raid the kitchen, take all the silverware.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm assuming is just like every villager who is helping is just donating their silver. But I like that it's just like, boom, 2 giant bags of silver. Love it.
And we also get the scene where he compliments Lawrence on how well he's training the villagers, and they seem to be getting along better.
Yeah, exactly. There's... Again, the town has more of a presence. There's more of a relationship between Lawrence and the town and everything. Like, it feels more just, the world feels more alive in this. Yeah, exactly. Fleshed out, more alive. I love that Dr. Lloyd has more of a presence in this. I like that he's not just kind of a doctor who exists. He's friends with John, and he sort of like is starting to become friends with Lawrence, and they have a bit more of a back and forth.
Especially since he's a pretty big part of the movie. The original movie, like, he gets a lot of the scenes.
Well, Colonel Munford, Lloyd are big, huge parts of the original film, and so yes. I do like that they touch upon that in this script, where they still make him a part of the film, just in a different way, and I like that.
Yeah. And so Lawrence, he leads Gwen to the site of the unfinished house, where he apparently had the villagers working on he pays them in fucking like gunfiring lessons, and then they work on the house.
Yeah, I like that. I thought that was such a sweet scene. And I like that little part where like she kind of kisses his cheek and stuff.
Yeah, she gets excited, kisses him on the cheek, and then she enters, leaving him outside. And we get this moment where he starts feeling a little sad.
Yeah, well, I love that. I love it because he sort of like feels a little sad right after she goes, "My home in Ben's," and he's like, "Oh, right." I like that. I think it's good.
Maybe he just realized they finished the whole house in 30 days, so as soon as she slams the door, it's going to go crush.
It's like, they just finished that door, Gwen. Please.
It's like when the Three Stooges build a house.
True.
And so that night, they're both having like dreams, and they get awakened by strange sounds. They see Sir John wandering off into the woods, and so they both start following him, which is... It's interesting how this is a scene in the movie that just completely diverges.
Yeah, it definitely is more... I don't know, I'm kind of mixed on this scene because it doesn't really go anywhere in the script versus in the film it leads into that first transformation. But even then, I'm kind of mid on it. But it's cooler here only because there's a line later on. And actually, no, wait, hold on. This scene does set up something in the third act, so I'll touch upon it later.
They lose him near the family cemetery and his mother's mausoleum.
Right, yeah.
And so Lawrence actually doesn't hide anything. He just asks him about the next morning, and John's like, well, when I can't sleep, I go walking in the woods to calm myself down.
Yeah. I like that, and one of my favorite parts is just, again, the relationship between John and Lawrence is, I love that he's like, hey, where'd you go? And John goes, why didn't you join me? I like it. It's just a quick little thing, but it really shows that the relationship has kind of grown a little stronger.
Yeah, and then he says, okay, don't join the hunt tonight during the full moon. You should make excuses to break off from the party and return home. So he's warning him away. And then Lawrence and Gwen talk about Benjamin in the woods by a waterfall that like flows into a chasm. This is like the one location they like specifically kept for the movie, and it doesn't have the same function.
Right? It is kind of odd, but I like it. I want to go back really quick to John's warning about joining the hunt.
Yeah.
Makes so much more sense in the script. It feels more... Again, because we've seen Lawrence and John's like relationship sort of build, it feels more genuine with this. With him kind of like saying like, just get out of here, don't do it, do whatever you want. But the reason why Lawrence still continues to go on makes so much more sense here because he's trained everyone. He feels a sense of responsibility. He's been here for a while. This all makes more sense. Versus in the film, he just goes, don't go out tonight investigating. Just wait till the next day. And Lawrence just still goes out, which doesn't make any sense. You already know John's dead. Nothing's going to change by waiting one night.
And you've got that medallion that Benjamin was wearing that has like wolves on it that never pays off.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just so bad in the film.
And so they have their little conversation where he apologizes for his behavior at the beginning, and he says that like even when he's not on stage, he's almost always putting on a performance in some sense. Even he doesn't know who he is. Yeah. Which is a very interesting theme that the movie kind of gestures towards once or twice and then just never goes anywhere with.
Yeah, it's kind of bad. I like that also Lawrence has this one letter and he gives it to Gwen. They sort of change it in the film where he just kind of gives Ben's effects, but I like this whole letter thing. It feels nice. It feels, again, like you said, we feel more like John's presence or Ben's presence here is stronger in the script and the story.
Yes, and it's basically a letter to Lawrence talking about Gwen and how much he was in love with her, saying like, oh, it can't possibly be true. He wouldn't just leave you.
Yeah, I like that.
And this is also where he confides in his guilt about having left Ben behind. He felt like he trapped him in this place.
Right. Which, again, goes into things later in the script, which works so well.
Yes, and so on their way back to the hall, as they are passing a ruined castle, that's cool.
The ruined Talbot castle, it seems. It seems that the Talbots had a castle, it turned to ruins, and then later on in life, the family built the mansion. Yeah,
that's not in there at all, but that's a fair speculation.
Yeah.
And he says, hey, go to the village of Kendall that night, because I'm going to be joining the hunt, and you're not going to be safe by yourself. And we see that someone or something is watching them from the ruins, knocks some rubble over, and Lawrence is like, huh, what? But then just rides off. The villagers, they all gather in the church, and the 3 hunting parties gather on the lawn of Talbot Hall. We get Lloyd telling Lawrence he's glad he's made his acquaintance. And it's like, yo, your presence even seems to have improved your father's disposition.
Yeah. I think, if I'm correct, because they talk about the different parties that split up, and if I'm looking at this, now that I'm realizing it, I believe John and Strickland decide to go together, right? Or John decides to have Strickland come with him.
Let me look. It's John and Fitzgerald.
Oh, okay, never mind. All right, yeah.
Montford and Strickland, and the last is led by Lawrence and Lloyd, the double L's.
Yeah.
They depart into the foggy night, and Strickland mentions that according to the legend, the werewolf strikes at midnight. And as they're leaving, John is like glaring at Lawrence, and Lawrence is like, I'm not paying attention.
I like that they bring up the time, because in the movie they sort of show the moon, but I think the sense of time makes more sense in this, because, yeah, I'm always kind of like wondering, like, oh, that's kind of weird, like, when does the transformation start? So it's good that they bring up the time.
In the script, it's specified that it's the full moon and the stroke of midnight that causes the transformation. In the movie, it's not addressed, but it almost has to be that, because they wander around at night well before becoming Wolfman.
Oh yeah, constantly.
And so, but midnight's not far off, and so they depart, and Sir John is just giving him the death stare, and so Sir John's hunting party unleashes its hounds, which we get a fake out scare where they corner something in some brush, but it turns out to just be a fox.
Yeah.
And as the stroke of midnight passes, the other 2 parties hear the howl of the werewolf and set off to corner it. Strickland and Montford's party find a slaughtered animal, and Montford panics, flees across the moors. And meanwhile, Lawrence and Lloyd's party come across 2 dead members of Sir John's party, as well as Sir John's slaughtered horse, and they send the party on while they look for Sir John. And the werewolf attacks Strickland's party, picking them off in the fog, and they don't even notice it at first. It's so quiet.
Yeah, it's sort of like that one scene in Jurassic in the Lost World where they all get picked off one by one
in the long grass.
Yeah, with the velociraptors.
And so Strickland, he flees to the nearby stone circle, but the werewolf follows, just picks him up, throws him into one of the stones, which kills him.
Yeah.
And so Montford, meanwhile, has wandered into a bog. He gets thrown by his horse. He gets stuck. And when the werewolf begins approaching through the fog, he blows his own brains out rather than be killed by it. Now, in the movie, it plays a little differently, where he runs out of ammo and the Wolfman knocks his head off.
Well, I want to say the script did it so lame. The movie does it better, because Montford shoots the werewolf a couple times, or the Wolfman a couple times. He gets the hits off, and then he's like, okay, fuck this. I'm going to just blow my head. But then it clicks. The barrel's empty, and he's like, shoot. And then he gets his head slashed off. And that's probably to this day one of my favorite decapitation scenes in
although in the movie he only fires like 3 bullets and then runs out, so it's like, dude, you didn't load your gun.
Yeah. In this, it's just kind of like he's like, screw this, and he shoots his head. I'm like, that's lame.
So Lawrence and Lloyd find Fitzgerald on the moors, bleeding to death from his torn throat, and he dies despite Lloyd's efforts, and Lawrence finds a bit of cloth clutched in the dead man's hand.
Yeah.
Yes. And so Lawrence is like, Lloyd, what happened during the last full moon? Was the party all together? And says, no, they split up to cover more ground. Classic Scooby-Doo move.
I love the revelation Lawrence has, because who is it? Fitzgerald's trying to tell him something. He can't figure it out because his throat's cut. He gets it because a couple of times earlier in the script we see it. It brings attention that John's wearing the shirts with the Talbot crest on it, and Lawrence just sort of like pieces it all together in this scene, and I love the whole piecing together, the figuring it out. It's so good.
And so Lawrence, he rides off back to Talbot Hall looking for his father, and that's when we see that the cloth is the shirt pocket with the family crest on it. Also, what this does better is that with this whole setup in the first act, it's a much more effective mystery because there's actually red herrings.
Yeah, 100%.
Whereas the movie removes Benjamin from the equation almost immediately, so it's like, who else is it going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I was so convinced up until this. I was honestly questioning, is John still gonna be the werewolf? And then it pulls out. I was like, oh, cool. So I still was caught off guard by the twist. It was good. I wasn't really sure who it was gonna be.
So he then takes Sir John's hound Samson and tracks his scent through the forest, which leads him to the ruined castle, and he descends into the catacombs. In Lawrence, he finds a door with a bar and many locks inside the vault with chains and scratch marks on the wall, as well as a candlelit shrine with a photo of Carmilla in the center. So we're getting the full picture now.
Exactly, yeah. This was really cool. I mean, I think it's funny that this is all happening while the werewolf is out killing people, and Lawrence is just like, well, let me check. But I do still think it's pretty cool, like, piecing everything together, seeing it all.
Let me raid his lair while he's out.
Yeah.
And so he then emerges from the ruins, only to get attacked by the werewolf, who claws open his arm. And we then see the werewolf in full for the first time, bipedal with like gray streaks in its fur, and it says that Sir John's features are still recognizable, which if you look at that Anthony Hopkins werewolf in the movie, it does look like him.
Oh yeah, 100%, which is cool.
And so Lawrence goes for his gun, but the werewolf leaps on him, biting his shoulder. But before it can kill him, Lloyd arrives and fires at the werewolf, missing and driving it off. Or so he thinks, and Lawrence tries to warn the doctor, but the werewolf appears and attacks him as Lawrence passes out, only the sounds of his death being heard.
I like that Lawrence and the werewolf have more of a fight in this. It goes on for a little bit longer, where in the movie it just sort of like, he jumps, bites him, and that's it. But I like that they have a bit of a back and forth, and he sort of is able to kind of hold his own just a little bit. So I thought that was cool.
Okay, and so then we get the opening scene replayed again, and we see what really happened. That the anguished cry is now a howl, and when he enters the master bedroom, his father is a werewolf who has torn out his mother's throat. And Benjamin appears with a pistol and shoots at the werewolf, who flees out the window.
Which 100% makes so much more sense than the movie.
Yeah, because they don't explain in the movie why he didn't just kill his son right then and there.
Right? Because it's pretty much... Well, two things. One, they don't explain why he didn't kill his son. And two, in the movie, it's still kind of shown that the werewolf just sort of slashed open the mother's neck, where it's clearly shown that when you first become a werewolf, you're doing as bloody of a kill as possible. So I don't know why all of a sudden the werewolf decided to be very gentle with this one lady.
Well, in the movie, it's not his first time as a werewolf.
Oh, yeah, in the movie, yeah, that's right, I forget.
Yeah, in the movie, he struggled, because Singh was helping him hide it for a long time, and then one time he struggled, he fought back and, like, knocked him right out, and that was how he escaped.
Well, that's how he escaped to kill Ben, but I guess...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because in the movie, that's how he ended up accidentally killing Ben, but I think... It was that he goes back, doesn't think he gets bit, doesn't think of anything of it, goes back home, and then that's when he accidentally kills the mom. But it still just doesn't really make sense, anything with like all the flashbacks and stuff. But in this, it's all very clear that, you know, he's getting killed in the bedroom and the shot and everything. Like this all makes a lot more sense than what.
To be fair, I most recently watched the theatrical cut where that scene is trimmed down to shit.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Lawrence then awakens in Lambeth Asylum in London, which is where he stayed as a child. He's locked up in a cell wearing a straitjacket. He's tied down to a wheelchair, and then Dr. Hendrik, who's not called that in the movie, and he's like played up as being like this weird, almost comedic, like German guy.
Yeah, who seems to enjoy what he does a lot. In the script, they don't know each other, but in the film, he's like, "Sorry to see you back here, Lawrence."
It's like, and so what Hendrik tells him is that the story he was told is that he attempted suicide and was brought here, where he raved in like a daze for 2 weeks about how his father was a werewolf who attacked him.
Yeah. I just want to say right now, always hated this in the movie, still hated in the script. I think the asylum part of the film the story is probably the weakest part in my opinion, which sucks because everyone making this movie seemed to fully agree that this is the best part to keep. This seems the most intact of everything, from script to the film.
Yes, there was a David Self interview I was reading where he said that like he had Andrew Kevin Walker's script out next to him while he was writing his version, and he said that there were certain parts he just basically cut and pasted into it, and that was one of them.
I don't like the asylum. I feel like it's too restrictive for what we could do and everything, and it just, all it really ends up amounting to is just we get a lot of like weird fake out stuff with just like kind of like being all like creepy with the asylum, and I just think it's mid compared to everything else we could have.
I don't mind it. I think it's stronger here than it is in the movie, because the movie moves up him turning into the Wolfman to earlier in the village, and it's weird that he's the Wolfman for one night, then immediately gets captured, is in London for like 15 minutes, and then comes right back.
Well, I mean, again, it's probably because the theatrical cut cuts it down, but in the director's cut, they it's pretty much implied that he's been there for a full month, because of like how long the whole montage takes place and everything.
That's still confirmed in the theatrical cut. I'm just talking in terms of movie pacing. It's weird that he gets captured, he escapes pretty quickly in terms of movie pacing, and then comes right back to where he was.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. And that's probably the reason why it's so weak, is because we don't ever get much of a chance for Lawrence to reconcile with the fact that he is a werewolf. It's just he transforms, and now he's being tortured for a month, and then he transforms again. So yeah, exactly what you're like. And I will say that in the script, it is stronger here. I like this whole thing where like Lawrence can't really tell what reality is or not. It kind of works. I get the whole asylum thing. We're touching upon 1941's sort of mind fuckery and like the questioning reality thing right here, but it still feels weak. But I do like that in this, the idea is that, because in the film it's like, yeah, he just kind of gets captured right away. For some reason, Sir John has no inclination to protect Lawrence, and then they just immediately know that it was him, even though there was enough villagers to know that a werewolf fucking attacked them. But whatever, and it doesn't make any sense. But in the script, it makes sense that the implication is John attacked, found out that Lawrence did it, or that Lawrence got killed, and he's like, "Ah, shoot." And he sort of is like, well, the only thing to do is just send him to the asylum so that he can't do anything about things. It makes so much more sense in the script.
No, he doesn't just narc on him to Hugo Weaving like he does in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's like he's like, oh shit, let me protect myself by just throwing him in here ASAP.
Which, by the way, useless addition to the movie, because Aberline does nothing. He's like the worst detective.
Oh my god, I fucking hate Aberline so much. Ugh. Hugo Weaving aside, who plays him to the best of his ability, they just pulled. Aberline is literally just like, okay, let's just pull things that Lawrence does and some things that... No, I think it's just things that Lawrence does, and let's just throw it in here for whatever reason.
No, the thing that drives me nuts about that character in the movie is that he immediately has Lawrence as his prime suspect. He says, "Oh, I'll establish your whereabouts on the nights in question." I'm like, bitch, he wasn't even in town when this happened.
Dude, I know, right? I'm like, he literally has the most solid alibi. He was performing Hamlet in a theater crowd.
And it's like, it's not like, they don't even really do anything with his character. They bring up because, of course, he's a real historical figure who was the investigator of the Jack the Ripper case. And he failed at that, and they could have played it up like he's a guy who needs a success to kind of bolster himself. But they don't really do that. He's just kind of a dick.
Yeah, he's just a dick. I fucking hate Aberline so much.
And he's comically useless, because he doesn't do any investigating. He sits in a bar, drinks a beer, and then he gets his ass kicked in like the last 5 minutes of the movie. And that's it. But, okay, so getting back to it. Lawrence, he's wheeled in his chair to Hendrick's office, where Sir John asks to speak to his son alone, and he explains everything. This is a much better version of that scene from the movie.
Yeah.
He says, and this is one thing I do actually like better in the movie, is that in this version he says he was on a hunting expedition in Africa when he was attacked by a werewolf. I actually like the feral child more. I think that's a more interesting way to go about it.
It did seem more interesting. I feel like it touches upon Werewolf in London, or Werewolf of London, a little bit, and yeah, I do think it's cool because it kind of adds to the lore of the whole thing. Whereas this is just kind of like, all right, this kind of happens. So,
but he on the first full moon after his return, he transformed and killed his wife. And he says, "Oh, I almost took my life after that," but he convinced himself that the beast is not actually him.
Yeah,
I like the idea that he's dissociating from it, almost like he doesn't want to believe he's capable of this.
Yeah, I like that. There's a bit more of a there's complexity to Lawrence because of that,
and to Sir John.
Oh yeah, sorry, I meant there's complexity to Sir John. My bad.
And so Lawrence, he was sent to the asylum where his memories were reconstructed in the form his mind would accept. So basically, they tortured the fuck out of him until he overwrote his own memories.
Yeah, which makes
it's not explained in the movie.
Yeah, because that was so fucking confusing. Because when I first watched it as a kid, my understanding was that John did kill the wife, and then Lawrence, just because it's like a montage, Lawrence is just seeing him as a werewolf now, and it was so confusing. But yeah, this makes so much more sense with everything, and
yes.
I love that that Ben is actually the one that was helping John all those years and stuff like that. Again, makes so much sense.
Yes, he has an actual character here. Whereas that aspect of him got put into Sing in the movie.
Yeah, he's got a character, he's got a role. It makes sense why he stays longer and everything. There's a connection and everything like that. Whereas if it's Sing, it just sort of happens. And then because Sing's still alive, I don't get... Because in the film, he's like, I punched out Sing one night, escaped, accidentally killed Ben. And then at this point, and then he's like, and then I realized, let me just let the beast run free and stuff like that. I'm just going to decide to be evil. But that doesn't make sense because Sing's still alive. So then what? Did he just tell Sing like, no, I'm not going to cage myself up, whatever.
Sing knows that's happening because he's like locking himself up every night. And it's like, why didn't you just help?
Yeah, exactly. It makes no sense. He's so useless. It's just... Ugh, I hate that.
Yeah, it's just a weird thing they added in and then didn't think about, probably because they were hastily rewriting it before production.
Yeah, no, again.
But then, and it's mentioned that, like, oh, they constructed the vault together, and that says that during the full moon, sometimes he transforms twice, depending on, how sometimes the moon is still full enough on the second night to affect him. And it's explained later that, like, they can feel it during the day that it's going to happen, so that does make sense.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that they add a little bit more to everything, and then we get the revelation that Carmilla and John were together.
Yes, they kept up the routine of locking him up for years until she was imprisoned.
I think he still knocks out Ben. Is that still what happens in the script?
I'd have to look up the page.
Either way, I like that the whole reason why John decides to attack everything is because of the whole Carmilla thing. It makes a lot more sense why he decides to, besides just saying, yeah, I'm going to let the beast run free. I'm going to be evil and everything like that. Where in this, he's like, I've been protecting this village, everything like this. They just treat Carmilla like that for no reason. Again, we've gotten to know the village, so it also makes the betrayal, like realizing that, yeah, he helped them, everything, and then he just decided to, he still betrays them at the end. He sets them up for failure. So much better. There's more depth and complexity to the town, to John, to the village.
It does not say, from what I'm seeing. Yeah, he says he never would have helped you unleash the werewolf. He would have fought you. And so you killed him that very first night, didn't you? And he says, and John says, I couldn't have, could I, since he went missing the day after.
Yeah.
Which I was expecting a reveal that John killed him when he was not the Wolfman.
That was what I was expecting too, but
it doesn't get addressed.
Yeah.
Which that would have been just... Because that's the thing that's interesting about Sir John in this, is that he does actually seem to care about his children on some level, whereas in the movie he just is flat out contemptuous of them.
Yeah, no, 100%. He just doesn't give a fuck about any of them. But in this, yeah.
But basically, Carmilla was imprisoned. He decided to let the werewolf out to strike out at the village for this. And now that both her and the child are dead, he is going to just, he says, because, they wouldn't even speak up for me, so damn the whole village, I'm going to keep killing them until either they or me are dead.
Which is a much better motivation overall.
Yeah, and it makes him much more of an overt villain too, because he's going to slaughter a whole village because of his his grief.
Yeah, of his grief, and then I like the complexities of it goes into this in the final act, but I like the complexities of John unable to accept responsibility for anything. He won't accept. He finds every way to make it where everyone else they brought it upon themselves, or it's not his fault at all. And I like that. It's just good. It's we actually have a character here. It's not just I'm going to be evil because I'm Anthony Hopkins and I'm known for playing, an evil serial killer. And
in the movie, he decides to let the beast out because he's obsessed. He's obsessed with Gwen because she reminds him of his dead wife, which has implications they clearly didn't think about with the love interest.
Yeah. I mean, still that, sort of the implications are still kind of here, or, just, the age gap is still there with, Sir John and Carmilla. But in this, it just makes more sense because, John accidentally killed his wife. This is sort of a chance for redemption. He has another kid, so, yeah.
But it's not. What I mean is that it's not having both his sons be romantically attached to a woman who is reminiscent of their mother.
Oh yeah, no, you have a good point there.
But Lawrence is like, oh, you've gone mad, but he just kind of brushes that off and he says, oh, you now carry the curse, and he hands him a straight razor, saying, palm this until you have the opportunity to use it. And what's interesting about that is in the movie it feels like he's mocking him, and this it feels like it's actually meant to be a mercy.
Yeah, no, it does feel more like a mercy. Yeah,
and so he just starts getting enraged about Benjamin, how he killed Benjamin. So he screams, "Bring in the orderly," who sedates him, and he drops the razor. And then we get another dream sequence where he's performing Hamlet on stage in a straitjacket, watched by an audience of werewolves feasting on human flesh. and among them is Sir John's werewolf form, smoking a cigar and applauding him.
Yeah, I like cool. This. It is really cool. I'm kind of back and forth because, again, if they had filmed this, it would have been interesting to see. Because if done wrong, it would have come off very goofy, but it could also come off really cool.
And so the stage curtain falls, and Lawrence finds himself on the moors, where old Mileva approaches him on horseback through the fog, saying she has spoken to the spirits who say his brother is now with his mother, which is setting something up.
And this is also where she says the old school poem.
Yeah, she says that there too, which fits way better than it does in the movie, where it's just the beginning.
Yeah, it fits, but I still feel it's a little tacked on.
A little bit. But then we get a montage, which is cutting between Lawrence being given torturous hydrotherapy, and we also see in the background the other stuff they're doing to patients.
Yeah.
And a dream of his, which is in point of view, running through the woods towards Talbot Hall. He passes by the trophies, which are now the victims of the werewolf, and into the master bedroom, where he finds a werewolf on top of Gwen, only it's himself. And then it goes into the werewolf's point of view. It looks into a mirror, and he sees the human Lawrence on top of Gwen, implying he's raped her. And it throws
shit, you're right.
It's like, ooh, showing him having those mixed feelings about his desire.
Yeah.
He throws the lamp at the glass, breaking it and ending the dream.
And then this is where Gwen and Lawrence kind of meet back up again. I like this. Because in the film, it's just kind of a fake out thing. But I like that Lawrence is like, what's going on? Is this actually you? Like, I don't know what's happening and stuff like that.
But yeah, this is where you get confirmed that Sir John just kind of took him away from Blackmore that night without telling anybody.
Yeah.
And he also says, stay away from there because she's staying in London with her family. And then he gets wheeled away to an operating theater where Hendrik means to prove to him that he won't become a werewolf under the full moon, and has the curtains opened, revealing it has already risen.
Yeah.
And this scene is so much better than in the movie because it's not played as a joke.
Right? Oh my god, I love this. Also, Yeah, in the script it says many empty chairs are arranged in surrounding circles. 2 other doctors sit in the front row. So yeah, I guess it could be implied that there's a bunch of doctors that come in, but it only notes 2.
All right, you were right. So yeah, Hendrik gives a speech about how the werewolf thing is a fantasy he concocted to cope with his trauma, and he says, oh, you will know. It's a very long speech. I'm not going to get into. You will no more become a werewolf, and I will sprout wings and fly out that window, which is verbatim in the movie.
Yeah.
And so he pleads to be sedated or locked up to no avail. And then as the clock strikes midnight, he transforms for the first time, becoming the Wolfman.
I like how Lawrence's dialogue is done in the script more, because he's like trying to tell them like, no, don't do this. And then he goes, tonight I'm going to gonna become a werewolf, and then I'm gonna kill all of you. Please lock me up, save me, because I hate that in the film they pull the thing, and then at first he just immediately goes, tonight I will kill all of you.
Yeah, and so it's not played as a joke where he's like turning into the Wolfman while the guy's not looking.
Yeah,
which is just dumb. But so they so there's like some tension over trying to get the door unlocked. Hendrik grabs the keys from the guard, who ends up getting, torn to shreds by the Wolfman, which this all happens in the movie.
Yeah.
But it's played up with more tension. There's not like a guy going, the door's locked.
Yeah, everyone's killed.
But then he breaks off the key in the lock, and he throws Hendrik through the window, who instead of getting impaled on the fence, he splats on the pavement.
Oh yeah.
And so the Wolfman, he escapes through the same window, but it's like, there's just 10 straight pages of carnage here.
Which I absolutely love.
I love, but you could cut some of this, and I'm going to go through it pretty quickly.
Okay.
So you have, he kills, a rag picker in the sewer. Some cops find him, eating a guy in the park, and so they chase him. He goes into the road where an omnibus crashes, it runs over a couple people, and then he climbs up a building, leaps from rooftop to rooftop. This part's my favorite part, actually, where he crashes into a costume party and just fucks everyone up until they throw him off, until they start throwing oil lamps at him.
That was sick.
And then we get to the weirdest bit, which you could easily cut, where you meet Jack the Ripper, who is stalking a prostitute, who has, he's wearing, a top hat. He has the sword cane in this version, except it's, a devil's head on the cane.
Yeah.
And then he's about to kill her, and then the Wolfman gets, and he's like, fuck this, and just runs away.
Yeah, you could have 100% cut that scene. It goes nowhere.
It's like Shanghai Nights, which also has a Jack the Ripper cameo for no reason. And so the Wolfman climbs up onto a train track, down into an enclosure with a pool of water, but it turns out to be a crocodile enclosure at the zoo, so you get the fucking Wolfman wrestling a crocodile.
Which is cool. It's super cool, but I will say, going off the assumption this entire script would have been filmed, this could have been cut too, because I'm reading, I'm like, oh, this is fucking awesome. And then I'm thinking, oh, 2010, 100% this would have been fully CGI, and it would have looked so trash.
It actually reminds me, there's a scene in the Dwayne Johnson Wolfman script where he fights a shark.
For me, it reminded me of For me, it reminded me of the Predator prequel novel to that one Predator film, and the Predator fights a alligator in that.
Was that what, Predators?
No, not Predators. It's the one after Predators. It's
Predator. The bad one.
Yeah, the bad one. It has a prequel novel, which is actually pretty good. But in that the Predator fights and kills a crocodile.
And so so this doesn't turn into an American Werewolf in London. He doesn't go to bed naked with the wolves.
Yeah.
But he goes to a wolf enclosure, lets them out, and we get a scene in the cemetery where there's a grave robber with 2 young 12-year-old guys he's training, and they get attacked by the wolves. The grave robber falls into the grave, gets crushed by the coffin, and then we don't see what happens to one of the kids, but one of them manages to evade the wolves only to get killed by the Wolfman.
Yeah.
And then
it's a cool scene.
It's a cool scene, but it's there's 17 different scenes of carnage here.
Yeah.
But in the movie, it's way too short because he just kills a couple people in a carriage.
I I remember, I don't know if it's in the theatrical cut, but in the director's cut, he Abercron gets a whole squad of police and they're all shooting him and he charges and he just decides to jump over them all. And I'm like, okay, that makes no sense. He would have 100% stopped and just killed them all.
Yeah, that's in the theatrical.
Yeah.
He then climbs to the top of St. Paul's Cathedral and howls at the moon. Yeah, that is very cool. And so then we get Lawrence. He awakens on the rooftop at dawn, and the blood under his fingernails drives home to him what happened the night before. And he visits a church where he prays for the strength to end things before showing up at the Conliffe residence. So there's no antique shop in here.
Yeah.
And he borrows some clothes from Gwen's father, so it explains how he gets fresh clothes in this version.
Right.
As well as enough money for a horse. And he confides in Gwen his certainty that Benjamin tried to stop their father and was killed for it. And he also says he is determined to return to Blackmore to end all of this, and he hopes that Benjamin will forgive him for the feelings he has for her. It's a really well-written scene. I'm not doing it any justice because the dialogue is really good.
Yeah. I like that Gwen's also like, I hope he forgives me too, and they have a kiss. I'm like, yeah, this makes more sense. We've seen enough time with them. There's enough here that makes it why Gwen would fall for Lawrence now.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time together developing this relationship in this.
Yeah. I like go on.
Oh, also, I just noticed in the script here, he says that he has no memory of last night except of bloodshed and orgy of violence.
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, so he says he knows he's going to change again because he can feel it, but he has only until midnight to get to Blackmore, so he bids his goodbyes and they have another kiss.
Yeah. And then this is where he's walking through London. I like that there's this whole thing where he has to like, everyone knows it's him, and there's this whole little bit where he has to like run away from some cops. I thought that was cool compared to the film.
Yeah, because in this, like, the newsboy is like, I think it's kind of clever on the newsboy's part because he just starts really shouting the headline about the escaped lunatic loudly and pointing it at him. Whereas in the movie, he just buys all the newspapers off him. Yeah,
and it's like you have that one old lady who's like, wait, is that him? And then she goes, it must not have been.
And so he rides to Blackmore on horseback, and then later that night, the Conliffes, because her family actually exists in this.
Yeah, which I think it's funny that in the script, he gets from London to Blackmore in under a day. In the film, it's heavily implied that he gets from London to Blackmore in a month.
Well, they all set out at roughly the same time, and then they all get there at roughly the same time.
Yeah, but like in the montage of him heading back, like he's walking and everything. Like he's just walking the whole way. He doesn't take a horse or anything. So
yeah, he has like a stick and he like hides under bridges and stuff. He walks past two guys sawing down a tree.
Yeah, and I think there's shots of the moon, so it's really implied that he took a month to go all the way back there, which I think is cool. But in this, it is kind of funny that he just makes it back on horseback in a day.
Yes, but they discover that Gwen has snuck out her window and taken her father's pistol. Yeah. And we see that she has boarded a carriage to follow him. But it also is implied to be closer in the script because he took a carriage to get there and not a train.
That's true. Yeah, no, you
And so before confronting his father, Lawrence visits his mother's tomb, and he finds an extra coffin inside the mausoleum, which contains the rotting corpse of Benjamin. And he asks his brother for forgiveness for leaving him with their father and takes a pistol from his brother's holster, which, as we find out, is loaded with silver bullets.
Yeah. I like this. It feels nice, too. Because at this point, yeah, you already know what happens. And yeah, like you were about to say, it's a great scene.
Yeah, it's a great scene. Let me pull up. I might pull up some of the dialogue here.
I have it. He goes, "My brother, I'm sorry I left you, abandoned you to him. I've regretted it for so long. Forgive me that this is our reunion. How can it be that I never met the man you became? How could I let that happen? Rest in peace. Know that what I do tonight, I do in your name."
Okay, and so it does confirm that he was clawed and shredded.
Yeah.
So I think it would have been more interesting if Sir John just went, fuck this, and shot him.
Yeah,
because it would show how far he's gone. That's a change I would make. And so we get we finally get the confrontation.
Which, I love this confrontation. I think this is great. I love that Sir John... Oh, what?
Much better dialogue.
Yeah, I like that. I like that he goes like, I'd have Kendall come, but he fucking left and took my damn dog. And then I like that he's like, I love how he's like, there's only 15 minutes left. Did you come to join me for a night on the town? It's more kind of fun than him just kind of being villainy. I like this back and forth that they have. I love that Lawrence calls him out on all his bullshit and is all like, you refuse to take responsibility for anything, and is like listing it all out. Like this is very much pays off from the beginning when Lawrence just like lets John berate him. I like that John is. I like the whole thing that John says that him and Ben had put the silver bullets together. That was really nice.
Yeah, as a last resort.
Yeah,
exactly. One I was confident we would never need, and then he brushes it off by saying he put himself in harm's way.
Yeah.
Out on the moors that night, I never meant for him to die. How should I have known he'd side with them? How was I to know he'd turn against his own father? Because he was so much better a man than you. You'll hear no argument from me. That
was cool. Yeah, I just like it. It's very Lawrence like bringing up everything. He's like, oh no, it's his fault. Like I love it. He brings it all out. And I like that Lawrence's full motivation for the entire script does center around Ben. In the film, it just feels like he centers around Gwen immediately. But in this, it's very much more stronger that, no, Lawrence is doing all this as a way to atone for abandoning his brother. And I like that.
You killed him with one hand, buried him with the other, and still managed to somehow remove yourself from blame. It was Ben's fault. It was Ben's fault because he tried to protect the villagers. My fault you attacked me because I had been warned. Mother died not at your hands, but at the hands of the beast. All of my life, I thought this family cursed, but you were the curse on us, Father. All along, it was you.
I love that. And then I love that John goes, it's like, oh, you're acting all high and mighty, but then you think you're going to make up for everything you've done when you really can't and everything. I think that was so cool that even John's calling Lawrence out on his problems.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh yeah, well, we often spoke of your cowardice.
Yeah.
You need it remind me of my debt to them. I'm here to repay some part of it tonight. And then we get into the, he calls him a coward for not taking his own life after what happened to his mother.
Which I like that what John says, like this explanation makes so much more sense than in the film. I like that he goes, what? And then orphan both my sons? That it makes sense. Like I get it. Yeah. Okay. No, that's 100% a good reason to not kill yourself.
And I like how he says, this is what remains of the family you speak of with such reverence, your trophies, the sound of your victims, the sound of your own voice, the ghosts of your victims. That's all you have left. Everything else you destroyed, all for Carmilla.
And then they go into Carmilla, and Lawrence is kind of like, he's kind of like bringing out like, she did all this for you, and you couldn't even have the, you were too focused on the honor of the Talbot name, so you abandoned her.
He says, you were the end of her, not Strickland, not the citizens of Blackmore. You were her reason for living and her reason for dying. And Sir John, who's been drinking this whole time, throws the bottle and breaks it.
Yeah, that was so good.
And Lawrence calls what he's doing a sick perversion of her memory. And then Sir John drops the bombshell on him, saying, I turned the clock back 10 minutes.
Which, that was cool. That was a cool little twist. I like that.
And so Lawrence finally pulls the trigger on the gun, but the bullets, they don't fire because they become damp from lying in the coffin for so long, which makes so much more sense than what they do in the movie, where...
I've always hated that bullshit where he goes, yeah, I removed the gunpowder from those bullets years ago. Like I was like, oh, fuck off. But in this, that makes so much more sense.
Especially since in the movie, there sings bullets, and they make a point of him, like, constantly preparing his weapons and checking them. You think he would have noticed.
Yeah. I also love that in this, he's like, well, come on, end me and stuff. And then Lawrence, like, he pulls the trigger, and they're both shocked, and then he pulls it again, nothing. And then John, he goes, good God, you did it. And then it says Sir John's manic seems almost proud. I love that. I love this little bit where he's like, "Oh my God, you actually were about to kill me, but I'm proud of you for finally being a man." I like that. Where in the film it just sort of like seems condescending how he's acting, but yeah, I like that he's like, Graves' damp must have got into the powder, but still a valiant effort. I honestly didn't think you had it in you. I like that.
Yeah, it's they trade blows in front of the fire before Sir John's transformation sets in, just as Lawrence has his hands around his throat for the kill.
Yeah.
And so John transforms into what they call Grey Werewolf. He kicks Lawrence across the room, where he grabs a spear from a suit of armor to fend him off, which is something Hugo Weaving does in the movie.
Yeah, which only lasts for like 5 seconds, where in this, like, the whole spear gives Lawrence time to transform himself before he gets,
by the way, this has a way better fight.
Oh my God, so much better. The only issue I have is that why does John transform faster than Lawrence?
Yeah, that was weird. You could probably do basically this, but have it that they're transforming at the same time.
Yeah, they could have done that, but
and that maybe Lawrence is fighting it a little.
Yeah, that could be cool. I love this whole fight. It's so fucking cool.
But so yeah, he hurls an unlit oil lamp at him, which covers him in oil, and then just runs him right through with the spear, which delays the attacks because the Grey Werewolf has to push it through himself to get it out.
Badass as hell.
It's like in the beginning of Van Helsing.
Oh yeah.
But Lawrence starts to transform, but he fights it off long enough to throw an ammo box into a fireplace full of those huge bullets.
Yeah, because he covers the Grey Werewolf in oil. In lamp oil first.
And so he then fully transforms into the Wolfman as Grey Werewolf finally gets the spear out, and they have a big fight. They spill out into the hallway and they fall down the stairs, like they swing from like a chandelier for a minute.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff happens. And so the ammo box finally explodes, setting the house on fire and lighting the oil on the Grey Werewolf, who flees into the conservatory, crashes through the window.
That was really smart. I love the ticking time bomb of that, and that was smart. That was a cool thing of a way to like also extra give of Lawrence, like, okay, let me get the other hand by setting up a trap.
And it also explains why the house goes up immediately.
Yeah.
But so the Wolfman chases him through the forest, arriving at the ruined castle, where the Grey Werewolf is just throwing pieces of the castle at him.
Love that.
And when she arrives at the burning mansion, follows the werewolf's howls into the forest, she jumps on Lawrence's horse. And so we go back to the ruins. The Wolfman chases Grey Werewolf up to the top of the keep, where they have another huge fight where they're hitting each other so hard they're shaking the ruins, and they cause it to collapse.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, this is so cool. They basically get caught up in a masonry avalanche. And so the Grey Werewolf emerges first, throws the unconscious werewolf on the ground, and leaps down to finish the job just as Gwen arrives, firing her regular bullets into him. And he pursues Gwen into the forest, knocking her off the horse and chasing her to the waterfall clearing. And the beast has her on the ground. He's like toying with her and about to kill her when Wolfman just boom charges in, knocks him down, beats him savagely before tearing his throat out, which, if we go by Monster Squad rules, that wouldn't kill him.
Yeah, I know, right?
And so Gwen, like in the movie, he turns on her and she's pleading to him, saying that she loves him. And it seems to get through to him for a moment, before the Wolfman charges again, only to leap over Gwen into the waterfall's chasm, brutally bouncing off the rocks on his way to the bottom, before floating away in the river. So I have a question.
Yeah.
How does that kill him?
Yeah, I agree. What?
I mean, if it was that easy, the original Larry Talbot would have fucking jumped ages ago.
Right? He did jump. It didn't work.
House of Dracula.
Yeah. Yeah, this is the most lackluster part of the script. It sucks.
I mean, it's better than the alternate endings that they shot.
I mean, I like the one where she gets bitten. That's kind of interesting for the implications.
That's okay, but it's like you already have another guy who just got bit, so...
Yeah, I like the one where Lawrence just kills Gwen, because me personally, if they had continued, I would have just loved to see Benicio Del Toro come back.
Yeah, same. But the thing with that is that ending's really bad because it does the herky-jerky zoom into his face.
Oh, yeah.
He fourth wall breaks. Like, it completely kills the atmosphere.
Yeah, it sucks in that way, but I just like the implications they had done a sequel. But overall, the ending that the actual film has where she kills him, 100% better.
I mean, they still have the chasm, just without the purpose.
Yep.
And so she's left alone, sobbing beneath the full moon. And then we jump ahead to dawn. We see his battered corpse washed up on the riverbank with a look of peace on his face. Until the moon rises again and resurrects him.
Yeah, I know. I was about to say.
But it then fades out, because presumably this is a post-credit scene, then goes to the English coastline where the tribe is now situated. And old Mileva enters a tent. She cradles a dark-haired, green-eyed infant. And we then go back to Carmilla's grave in Blackmore, where the camera goes through the ground, and we see there's an incision, a still open incision over her womb, and it ends. So the implication is that Sir John's son did live.
Yeah, which means nothing? I don't... Okay.
It's not a genetic curse.
Yeah, it's... Alright then. Which leads into
something.
Oh, no, I was going to say which leads into that child becoming the descendant of Blake's father, and then leads in 2025's Wolfman. I'm just kidding.
That would actually be funny.
But yeah, that's very lackluster ending. Very just inconsequential post-credits scene.
It's just a weird, like, it's like he commits suicide. That seemed easy.
Yeah, like okay.
Yeah, the movie has a better ending than this.
100% better ending.
Because it's either, but I mean, the options are either, Hugo Weaving's going to be the Wolfman, or this kid is going to be the Wolfman.
or like we were saying, the full moon resurrects Lawrence, and he comes back, which would have been cool.
Yeah, or we go for the one ending where Gwen becomes the She-Wolf of London, I guess.
Hell yeah. I'm down for that. I'd be down for Emily Blunt becoming a werewolf. That would have been sick.
Yeah, that would have been fine. But so, yeah, that's the script. Like, 99% of it's really, really good. I don't know why they didn't just shoot this.
Yeah, I don't know either. It feels better. You get more werewolf action. I get the thing is like, well, we don't get technically Lawrence Talbot werewolf except for the end bit, but like you're still getting werewolf action, and in terms of a story and what it's trying to do, it's stronger and it makes more sense, and there's actual characters and stuff.
It's a well-constructed story. The character dynamics are really good. The motivations are really good. Whereas in the movie, the motivations are all very murky.
Yeah.
Like this feels like a cohesive piece that just needs some tightening up.
Yeah, it really does. And I just don't get the changes. I don't understand. Like, it doesn't. Given what we saw in the original or in the final thing, and given the budget that everything was said, like nothing in this script implies that they needed to make changes for budget or time. Like this,
like maybe cut out the crocodile.
Yeah, cut out the crocodile and the Jack the Ripper thing, and that's about it. Like, what's wrong with this?
Yeah, and it's other than that, it's good. Unless Universal got cold feet over how generally much darker this is. Because it is a lot darker, and it goes to a lot darker thematic places. And this is the era of Universal where they were making the light action movie Universal Monsters.
Yeah, I think it was probably a bit of that, because the final film is a bit more action packed and everything.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I guarantee you Benicio would have had that ending rewritten, because even when the movie came out, he was going like, "Don't think that silver bullet killed me."
Oh, he did? Okay, that's cool. I'm glad to know that Benicio was always was always down for coming back. That would again, because I've gone in this briefly, but I've taken classes for film and everything. I took a producing class. Like, reading this with the mindset of a producer, like this, and then watching what happened, like, I'm just so perplexed with why they made the changes and everything. Like, because the first half of the film, we don't see the werewolf. I think it's still implied that we're only really giving, like, small bits and pieces of the werewolf. So,
yeah.
I mean, budget-wise, you're still only doing like 2 major scenes with a lot of werewolf makeup, and it's still not that bad, like, in comparison. Like, you're not cutting out too much.
Yeah, I think they just got cold feet over how the subject matter was being approached.
Had to be. It really did. I think it was really just
like that. I think they wanted to soften it up to not offend people or something like that, because that happens where they're like, do we want to upset the test audience? And it's like, eh. And so what happens is that this was written. Mark Romanek gets hired to direct. He most famously did 1 Hour Photo.
What's 1 Hour Photo?
That's the thriller movie. It's like a psychological thriller where Robin Williams plays. Now, for those of you out there who don't remember photo development, you used to have to drop your photographs off to get them developed or send them in the mail.
Oh, yeah.
He plays the 1 Hour Photo guy who's like obsessed with this family and then starts like... He's a real creepy dude in that movie. It's a good movie.
Oh, all right. I'm going to have to check it out. That sounds cool.
But he was hired and they did the rewrites, and then they were 3 weeks away from starting shooting, and then Romanek, he left because he had creative differences with the studio.
Okay, yeah.
And there at the times there was talk about maybe it was a budget issue and whatnot, but he said that he wanted to do something a little more sophisticated with it, which this script would have been.
100%.
And maybe his rewrite would have been if he finished it. But yeah. They were 3 weeks away from shooting, and so they started looking at other directors, and the list was interesting. It was like, apparently Brett Ratner was a front runner.
I also feel bad for Benicio, because I bet he read this script and fucking loved it.
Yeah. Let me look at this list, because it was some interesting people on the list. Frank Darabont, he would have been good.
What did he direct?
Shawshank Redemption, The Mist.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that would have been a good one.
James Mangold, who made your favorite Indiana Jones.
Oh, nice. Wait, which one's my favorite?
Dial of Destiny.
Oh, God. Oh, no. Never mind.
But he also did the good Wolverine movies and Ford versus Ferrari.
Oh, he did Logan?
Yes, he did Logan.
Oh, okay. No, never mind. He would have been great.
Logan. They were also interested in Bill Condon. He has a weird filmography. Candyman 2 of the Twilight movies, Beauty and the Beast. He was supposed to do Bride of Frankenstein for the Dark Universe.
Twilight movies. He would have read the script and go, okay, so CGI full-bodied wolf.
And Martin Campbell was interested. He of GoldenEye, Casino Royale.
Interesting.
Both Zorro movies, Green Lantern.
Okay, that's all right. Huh.
That Green Lantern is probably why he didn't do this. He was probably stuck shooting that movie. But they ended up going with Joe Johnston, who is not terrible. Who's a good filmmaker. He's got some good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with Joe Johnston. He has a lot of. I mean, again, Jumanji's a classic. I love Captain America: The First Avenger, Jurassic Park 3, all great films. But it just what could have been. It's very much. I already had a love-hate relationship with this movie, but watching this film after reading the script, I'm just like, God fucking damn it.
And they ended up sending it back for reshoots, apparently, because I think it was mainly the Wolfman scenes they reshot, because they had no budget, and apparently a lot of it looked bad.
Well, I know that I remember one of the producers was like pissed off. They're like, why are we spending so much money on yak hair and everything? And I think it was Rick Baker that was all like, look, what we have, and he went up to the title and he went, look, what we have right now is man. We need Wolfman. So we need hair.
Yeah, but apparently one of the things they reshot was the fight at the end, but the information about it doesn't make any sense, because they were saying things like, oh, they reshot so that the other werewolf moved on all fours, which he doesn't do.
Yeah.
So that leads me to think the scenes of the Wolfman running around on all fours were things they did in reshoots, and that got miscommunicated to the people writing those articles.
I could believe that, yeah.
Okay, so apparently, according to David Self's Wikipedia page, which looks like he wrote it himself.
Oh, okay.
But there's information here where the sources, I can't find them because they're not online. They're just like magazine articles. Apparently, his second rewrite that he did before shooting ended with Lawrence Talbot surviving, and then they changed it during reshoots so that they both die.
Okay.
Both werewolves die.
All right, that's interesting. That must have been. All right, that must have been where it bled into that that one alternate scene where Lawrence just kills Gwen.
So yeah, and then they ended up I remember waiting for this movie at the time, and then they dumped it out on like Valentine's Day.
That's right, it was February. Holy shit. Oh my god, I'm remembering that.
And then it was I didn't see it till it hit video on demand, and I'm like, well, that was disappointing. And then later I see the director's cut, and I'm like, oh, it's actually all right. And watching the theatrical cut again, I'm like, oh yeah, no wonder it got terrible reviews.
Yeah, I saw this movie in theaters possibly twice. I remember my mom took me to see it, and I think my dad... No, yeah, that's right. My mom took me to see it. I was scared, and she closed my eyes at the asylum scene. And then my dad took me to see it, and I went out to get a bottle of water when the asylum scene showed up. Because I was so scared of it. And then eventually I grew the guts to watch it. And watching it now, I don't understand why I was so scared of it. It wasn't that bad, to be honest. I think it was just kind of intense for a 12-year-old brain. But I loved this movie growing up. As soon as it came out, I was like, this is so much better than 1941. Like, it does so much more cooler things. Like, everything in that. And then at some point, I think is like, I don't know, I think the more I grew up, like, once I, like, graduated high school, I, like, rewatched Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. I was like, yeah, this is the best movie. And then I started taking film classes, and that's when I really gave the original Wolfman another look. And I was like, no, actually, this is still amazing. And then I rewatched 2010 at some point. And I was like, yeah, this is pretty mid. And the more I grow as a filmmaker, the more I just had so much complex feelings, and now I even have more complex feelings with this film.
Yeah, and I have that love-hate relationship too. I actually, speaking of Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, I naively thought that was what they would do next after the remake.
That would have been cool. That would have been really cool.
But no, instead they did Dracula Untold.
Was there ever any talks about plans for like a sequel or anything with this, or was it pretty much just like...
I think with all the I would assume Benicio was in talks, but I think with all the issues they were having, they kind of settled that, and that the box office just killed it.
Yeah,
I mean, know the head of Universal had some words to say about this movie. Didn't
he like fucking hate it or something like that?
Oh, let me pull up the quote.
Okay.
Reception at the 2011 Savannah... Okay, wait, that's... 2011 Savannah Film Festival, Roland Meyer, then president of Universal Studios, regarded the film as crappy and considered it to be one of the worst movies we ever made, and he puts it in the same sentence as Babe 2, Pig in the City.
That's right.
But it also ends up being one of the only Universal Monster movies to win an Oscar for the makeup.
Deservedly so. That makeup is fucking amazing. This is This is to the date the modern werewolf look that I think stands up to the original 1941 look. This is a great updated design.
Rick Baker had a good handle on it, and if you see his unused design for Creature from the Black Lagoon, that's also very good.
Nice. Yeah, no, he knocked it out of the park. I love it. If I ever get a chance to do my take on the Wolfman, and they make me more bestial, I'm like, okay, let's just bring back the 2010 Wolf.
Yeah, I think that sums it all up.
Not much else to say.
But yeah, that is Wolfman, the early drafts. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to this. It was a good read. It was a good talk.
Yeah, it was great talk, great stuff. This comes out on Halloween, right, Bruce?
Hopefully.
Yeah, well, hope everyone has a happy Halloween.
All right then, guys. Happy Halloween, and goodbye.
Goodbye.